everyone. Welcome to the SBOA pre-recorded webinar with Easy Storage Solutions and utilizing a call answering service. In today's webinar, Easy Storage Solutions will cover the benefits of employing an efficient call answering service at your facilities and will guide you through several ways to run your facility more efficiently. On average, 40% of phone calls to storage facilities are missed, and missed phone calls cost money. If you are looking at lowering your operational costs, hiring more professional personnel to manage your facility, or you are growing or expanding your business, it may be time to evaluate implementing a call answering service. Today, you can learn the benefits of employing an efficient call answering service that not only answers with your facility name, they process your rentals, can take payments, make outbound calls for you, and much more. Hello, everyone. My name is Jessica Johnson. I'm the Director of Operations and Marketing for the Storage Business Owners Alliance, the SBOA. I'd like to welcome all of you who have joined us for today's webinar with our vendor partner, Easy Storage Solutions. Before we introduce our presenter, James Thurgood, I'd like to talk with you for a brief moment about the SBOA. The SBOA has more than 6,000 member facilities, which results in enhanced buying power for our members. By joining together, our members are able to use this strength in numbers to obtain more favorable pricing on goods and services they use every day. Our vendor partners can offer these cost-saving opportunities to our members, which results in lower costs and increased profitability. The SBOA membership is always free, and along with these discounts, the SBOA is a great resource for owners and operators. Our complimentary pre-recorded webinars provide useful information on a variety of self-storage topics and are always accessible on our website for your convenience. The SBOA also offers great savings on award-winning tenant insurance program, SBOA Tenant Insurance. Our sister company, List Self Storage, helps storage professionals list, locate, and purchase storage facilities on a national basis. At this time, I'd like to introduce one of our proud vendor partners, Easy Storage Solutions, and today's presenter, James Thurgood. James is the Director of Communications at Easy Storage Solutions. They provide integrated solutions to manage your self-storage business with tools such as management software, tenant protection, call answering, and more. Easy Storage Solution aims to equip small businesses and their owners with the tools to manage the business and attract customers for an affordable price. Should you have any questions following the webinar, you may direct them to James Thurgood at james@storageunitssoftware.com, JAMES@STORAGEUNITSSOFTWARE.com. It is now my pleasure to turn the time over to James. Welcome, James.
Thanks, Jessica. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining. My name is James Thurgood, and I'm the Director of Communications here at Easy Storage Solutions. Today, I'll be talking about utilizing a call answering service to help run your facility more efficiently. Here's my contact info. If you have any follow-up questions, please feel free to reach out. Happy to talk to you. Love talking about this stuff, answering any questions. This information will be at the end of the presentation as well. So let's go ahead and jump right in. Kind of a roadmap for today. We're going to evaluate ways to automate your facility. We're going to look at some issues in the industry and discuss avenues to become more efficient, increase profitability, and offer quality customer service. These last few months have been a little bit crazy, so perhaps this time has forced you to consider your operation and how you can automate your facility. Maybe you have some of these products already, maybe you have none of them, but most likely this has been an opportunity to look at your facility and make plans to automate. So with these items here, it's important to know that they can and they should integrate with each other to make your life easier. So things like your management software and your website, your search engine optimization and online marketing efforts, a cloud-based access control system or gate access system, a tenant protection program, and also a call answering service. So you probably guessed by the title of the presentation, but for our purposes today, we'll be focusing on the call answering portion. But keep in mind that a good call answering service should work in tandem with each item here. I wanted to start with a few questions. How many phone calls do you think a facility receives on average per month for every 100 units? And the answer is 90 to 100 calls. So most owners are shocked to learn just how many calls they actually receive each month. So if you think this is a really high number, you think this is crazy, don't worry, you're not alone. We actually ran a fairly large case study last year to verify this statistic for our clients. And after taking all the data from facilities across the country over a couple months, the call volume averaged out to almost exactly 1 call per unit per month. So yeah, 100 unit facility can expect about 100 phone calls. Now, how many phone calls do you think a facility misses on average? I think we might have given you a hint in the introduction here, but the truth is that about 40% of phone calls to storage facilities go unanswered. And on top of that, of those missed calls, if we're missing 4 out of 10 calls, only 2 will actually leave a voicemail. So that's interesting as well. And the last question, for an established facility, what percentage of calls do you think are from current tenants? Reality is that around 75 to 80% of calls are from current tenants. Now, we would all love for all of our phone calls to be from people looking to rent, but that's just not the case. That being said, though, it is important to answer calls from our current customers as well. Happy customers are more likely to pay on time and to stay in their unit longer. So either way, really, it's putting money in your pocket in the end. So as we kind of glance at these statistics, I did want to bring one point up. So if you think about if only 20% of phone calls are someone looking to rent, and then if we miss 40% of those calls, and then only half of those people leave a voicemail, you can see how small the number gets. You know, how much more important is it to answer your phone calls? Callers that are looking to rent, they're looking to rent right now. If we don't pick up, they're most likely going to just hang up and call the next place. So missed phone calls really do cost you money. Another thing to think about is that, you know, we don't know who's on the other end of the line, but like I said, it shouldn't really matter. You know, we want new renters, but we also want to keep our current tenants happy. So if we take a step back now, what options do we have out there to assist our tenants? The most popular option right now probably is a manager. Now that could be an on-site manager who's there all the time. Maybe it's a manager that you just have on call, but having a manager has probably been the most popular option for a while. Another option is you as the owner could handle all of the incoming calls. You could hire a typical call center to answer your calls. You could get a kiosk to place on site. You could hire a property management company, or you could hire a call answering service. Now, that's obviously not an all-inclusive list, but that covers the vast majority of options that are being utilized in the industry today. And I wanted to break each one of those out and talk about some possible issues with each one. So with facility managers, the biggest thing is they're expensive, right? Even a part-time manager or part-time employee is pretty expensive per month. There's obviously the state and federal requirements. There's ongoing training that's needed. And anytime there's turnover, that falls on you as the owner to spend the time finding a new employee, getting them trained up, and basically starting over. If you as the owner are taking all of the phone calls, you know, think about, as the business owner, is your time best spent on a 20-minute call walking a tenant through their billing history? You know, it's probably not. Obviously, that's an important call, but for you as the owner, you could be spending that time focusing on other aspects of your business. With typical call centers, historically have pretty bad reputations, right? When I hear that term call center, I immediately think of a telemarketer calling me in the middle of my dinner time trying to sell me something. That's what I think about. Usually I have poor customer service. Sometimes they can be hard to understand. And if I'm calling into a business that uses a call center, I usually expect to wait for a long time. It's not uncommon to wait for 20 or 30 minutes to talk to the right person or to talk to a person at all. And we'll talk more about typical call centers in a couple slides as well. With a property management company, again, they're expensive. So property management companies, they usually charge you a percentage of your revenue each month. So you can see that that can be pretty pricey. They have limited service options and generally a little less personal. So property management companies are really built for and designed for things like apartment buildings or rental homes, things like that. They're not usually used to talking to tenants on a daily basis about questions or day-to-day things. They're really built for the rental world, but some people do use them for storage as well. And with kiosks, so kiosks can be a great item as well. They're just not really feasible to run an entire facility. Kiosks can be confusing to some customers. They can be unreliable. And in the end, sometimes people, they just want to talk to people, right? We get calls all the time from someone who's either on site with a kiosk or maybe they're on the website and they have some questions before they want to rent, or maybe they're confused with what they're looking at, or maybe they're not comfortable doing everything themselves. That happens all the time. And so along those lines, it's important to note that automating your facility, it doesn't have to mean eliminating all human interaction, right? We want to make your life easier with technology as much as we can, but all the while keeping that personal touch. Now, with general call centers for your storage facility, so call centers, what they do is they just take messages and then forward them on to you or to your manager. Some of them will process payments over the phone for you, but they will not process rentals. And that's a big one, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. Of those that do take payments, some of them will even charge you extra for the ability to accept payments over the phone. So something to keep an eye out for there. Call centers are going to be less flexible. They won't know the specifics of your facility. And we'll talk about that one in a little bit as well. And in the end, they don't usually take much work off your hands. If they're just answering calls, that's good, but that's just the first piece. If they're just passing it off from there, it really is just prolonging the outcome for the customer. Now, if you contrast that with an efficient call answering service, what should they be able to do? So here at Easy Storage Solutions, we're a little bit different in the answering service we offer. And hopefully these slides will show you that an answering service, it doesn't have to be like a typical call center. So here are a few things that you should consider when looking for an answering service. What should they be able to do? The first thing is they should be able to answer with your facility name. You don't want them answering with a generic business name or such and such receptionist. You want customers to know that they reached the right place right away. So they should be able to answer with your facility name. The next part, which I mentioned, is they should be able to process rentals for you right over the phone. Now, that's everything from start to finish, helping them get into the right size unit, answering all of their questions, inputting all of their information into your system, taking payment, walking them through signing the lease agreement online, giving them the move-in instructions, really everything from A to Z so that they could move in tonight if they wanted to. Your answering service should also be able to make outbound calls for you. So a lot of you are probably familiar with or use Sparefoot. to generate leads. So your answering service should be able to call out on those leads and help convert those into rentals right there on the phone. The answering service should also mesh with how you like to run your facility. And this is a big one. So this really is important. So agents, they really should know the specifics of your facility. Things like, where are you located? Are there nearby landmarks? Are you across the street from the fire station? Is your facility the one with the big red doors or the big blue doors? When somebody moves in, do they need to bring a copy of their driver's license? Do you need a picture of the boat that they're storing? Do they need to bring their own lock, or will the facility be providing the lock? Same thing with move-out requirements. Maybe you you require a 15-day move-out notice, or maybe you don't require any advance move-out notice. Things like that, they differ at each facility, and they're things that I would want to know as a customer before I rented. So your agents really should know all of those things, answer any questions, and be able to rent that unit right there on that first phone call. They should also be able to assist with day-to-day things with tenant accounts. So in reality, the answering service should be able to handle most of the day-to-day items for you. So things like billing history or issues, billing questions, online access. Obviously, a lot of people like using the online portal, but maybe they're having trouble logging in for some reason. They forgot their password. Maybe someone is looking to move into a larger unit. The agent should be able to help them with that. Maybe somebody forgot their gate code, or their gate code's just not working for some reason. All those things that the agent should be able to handle for you without really having to bug you much. They should also be able to sell tenant protection plans if you offer a tenant protection program. The answering service should also offer full-time or backup options. So full-time, answering all of your phone calls. But backup, what does that look like? Maybe you have a manager that you want answering most of the phone calls, and you only want the calls to roll over to the call answering service if the manager's busy. Maybe they're on the phone with somebody else. Maybe they're out on the property helping a customer, things like that. And you just want the calls to roll over to the answering service if the manager is busy. Or maybe you want first crack at the sales calls, or maybe you have a sales guru on staff that you want handling all the sales calls. The answering service really should be flexible and be able to set up the call flow so that the calls are routed just how you want. They also should be obviously personable, easy to understand. And you should look for about 60 answering hours per week. Now, I know that this is a hot topic. Probably a lot of you are stopping and saying, wait, you're not answering 24/7. For whatever reason in the contact center industry, 24/7 seems like it should be the golden rule. But looking at call volume by the hour, I can tell you that you do not want to be paying somebody to sit in the chair all night long. Unless maybe you're a really big facility, then it makes sense for you, then maybe it's necessary. But for most facilities, it's just not efficient. In fact, more than 90% of calls to storage facilities come in between the hours of 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. So, maybe you're open a couple hours before that and a couple hours after to make sure that you get any of the stragglers that happen to call a little earlier, a little late. But you really don't need someone there all night. Now, that being said, there should be 24/7 payment and rental options. So a good answering service should have an automated pay-by-phone system where the customer can call in, make a payment right over the phone without ever having to talk to anybody any time of day or night. Make sure that you're never discouraging someone from paying you money. But again, that doesn't have to mean paying someone to answer your calls all night long. So thinking back to the beginning of the presentation, we asked the question, how should an answering service integrate with these services, and why does it matter? So things like your software and website, SEO and marketing, access control and gate control systems, and tenant protection programs. So if you're not currently using a management software, I would start there first. But if you already have software or you're searching, looking to buy, keep this in mind. So not all call answering services will integrate with management software. So all these things that we're talking about are great, but you can't have this level of support if your answering service doesn't integrate with your management software. So some limitations that you can expect without software integration would include completing rentals, which we've talked about a lot, taking payments, any type of issues related to rental history or really rentals at all, and website updates. So I wanted to break out website integration briefly because it's super important to you as the owner. It's really important to the customer, and it's also very important to the call answering service. So website and software, they don't automatically integrate, but they should. So, the first one there, unit availability. If your website is showing that you have a unit available and somebody calls in to rent and the answering service pulls up the inventory and that unit's not actually available, that's not gonna look good. So you want your website and your software to be showing the same inventory in real time. Anytime somebody moves into a unit, anytime somebody moves out of a unit, that should be updating automatically and constantly showing the most accurate availability. That goes for unit pricing as well. Maybe you lowered prices or maybe you raised prices. You don't want there to be any discrepancy between the website and between when someone's actually trying to rent. Same thing with unit sizes. Maybe you had some 10 by 20s that you converted into a bunch of 10 by 10s. You're going to want that to show right away as well. You're not going to want to be changing all these things in your software manually. It's much better if you can just change it in one place and have it update in real time right there on your website. Same thing with the waiting list. If somebody joins the waiting list on the website, they're looking for a particular size that's not available, that should update in your system right away so that as soon as that unit does become available, you're able to contact them, or the software shoots them an automated email to let them know that that unit size is now available. And all that should happen again all at the same time. So with the rest of the integration, we talked about this first bullet point a little earlier in the presentation, but none of these things are possible if your agents aren't using your software. They need to have direct access so that they can see that availability, they can see that pricing, they can see your site map and help tenants find their unit on site. Again, updated counts, gate codes, things like that. Integrating with your marketing is really important too. So maybe you do have one, long running promotion that you have going on all the time, which is great. But maybe you're offering a promotion just for the summer, or maybe you're doing weekly drawings, things like that your call answering service should know and be aware of so that they can constantly be offering the most up-to-date promotions to the customers calling in. And then website integration, we just talked about that. Really important that your website updates automatically. If all your answering service can do is just relay messages, they're really not that much more valuable than having calls just go to your voicemail. So should you implement a call answering service? If you ask me, I think every facility should be utilizing a call answering service. But now that you know what an effective answering service can provide, here are a couple questions you could ask yourself about your current operation. Is your facility missing incoming calls? I would take a real look into that. Are you thinking of hiring more personnel to help manage your facility? And again, even if you're looking for just a part-time employee, maybe you're looking for new ways to lower your operational costs, or maybe your business is just growing. Maybe you added some more units, or you're adding another building or more parking spaces. These are all great reasons to consider a call answering service to help. Now, understandably so, a lot of you might have some initial concerns about utilizing an answering service instead of, or even in tandem with, a manager. So maybe you have, concerns about possible lost on-site security, or maybe you have gone out there, looked for alternatives, and they're just expensive. Maybe you're worried about loss of customer service, and maybe you just like having a manager. Nobody's here to take anybody's spot. If you like having a manager, we totally understand that an off-site answering service can't do everything. So depending on your facility size, your operation, it can be wise to still have a manager as well. An answering service can work really well with managers. And one of the big ones there is customer service. So, what's going to happen to my customer service if I have someone who's off-site answering my phone calls? But if you really consider the attributes of an effective answering service, what are your customers getting? They're getting more answering hours than a typical employee. They're going to have the ability to make payments 24/7 over the phone without having to talk to anybody. They're going to have personal rental assistance. And this is big too. So, we get calls all the time from people who need to store their stuff, but they have no idea what size they need. They just know that they need to store the items from their dorm for the summer, or that they have a 3-bedroom apartment, and they just want to store it, but they don't know what size they need. And the call answering agent can kind of talk to them about what they're storing and guide them in the right direction and suggest the right size for them. Your customers will also be getting immediate help with things like billing questions, billing issues, gate problems, online access issues, things like that can be very frustrating for customers. And if they have to wait for a receptionist or call center to forward on that complaint to the manager or to yourself as the owner, that's just going to make things worse. But with the call answering service, they're going to get that help right away. Now, I did want to mention what you can expect when you're looking for a call answering service and pricing. So the truth is, prices really can vary quite a bit, but most services will charge you one of 3 ways. So they'll either charge you a flat rate, here's my price, this is what it is, or they'll charge you based on the number of units that you have at your facility, or they will charge you based on the number of phone calls that you receive each month. So those are the 3 most popular ways that call answering services charge for their service. Some questions to keep in mind, or questions that you should be asking when you're looking at those services. Are there overage charges for more calls? If I receive more calls this month than I did last month, are there going to be overage charges? And like we talked about earlier, are there going to be extra charges for the ability to accept payments over the phone? Now, we've talked a lot about how an answering service can benefit your customers, which benefits you, but how does it benefit you directly as the owner? The first one, and I kind of mentioned this earlier, but you're still in charge. No one's here to tell you how to run your business. You're going to know best how to run your business. The answering service is just here to help. So they should be in constant communication with you, things like move-ins and move-outs, or pertinent information, or any questions that come up. They should be keeping you up to date with things without bugging you, but still keeping you in the loop, and just basically helping you run your facility how you feel is best. You're also going to be expanding your hours of operation, which is great. You're making it easier for people to pay you, which is obviously good. An answering service, like I've mentioned, costs less than a manager or even a part-time employee, which helps you out. And you're going to have constant data and inventory maintenance. So anytime a call answering agent takes a call from a tenant, they'll be verifying and updating information if needed. Maybe somebody got a new phone number, or maybe they moved and they have a new address. Things like that the agent can verify and update if needed, so that you always have the most accurate information as possible, in case you need it, in case you need to reach out to the tenant for any reason. And same thing with inventory, like I've mentioned. Move-ins, move-outs, You're going to have the most accurate information all the time. And then, like we talked about, increased customer service, which is good for you, because we all know happy customers leads to more customers, right? So, which is good for you directly as well. So that kind of wraps up our presentation today. I did want to show my contact info one more time. Again, if you have any questions about utilizing a call answering service, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'm happy to answer any questions or to dive any deeper into any of the points that we've covered today. I'm a huge believer in utilizing a call answering service, and I've seen firsthand how much it can help facility owners. So I really do love talking about it. I'm happy to talk about anything if you feel free to reach out. But I do understand, Jessica, that there are a few questions for me.
James, thank you so much for putting together such an informative presentation for our members. I actually do have a few questions for you. My first question is, how many storage units do your customers typically manage? And is there any limit to how much you can handle at Easy Storage Solutions?
Yeah, so our average client has about 200 units. There's no real reason for that, except that's just what our software really caters to, is that size facility. But we have clients anywhere from 30 units to 1,300 units. You know, for us, how our infrastructure is set up, it doesn't really matter to us if we're helping one operator with 6 locations or 6 operators with 1 location each. You know, it doesn't really matter to us. So as far as a limit, there really is no limit to what we can handle.
Wow, that's great to know. I'm glad to know that there's really no limit. That's a really great benefit for our members. My second question is, would you be able to share a success story from one of your customers and maybe some of the results they achieved?
Yeah, absolutely. So when you say success story, the very first thing that comes to mind is a phone call that I received last winter. So I got a call from one of our owners. He actually is one of our larger clients. He has 6 different facilities. He called me up and he said, James, I'm going to the beach for the winter. and he said, my wife and I, we've always wanted to do this. We've just never been able to with all of our facilities that we have. But because of what you guys are doing to manage these locations for us, we're going to the beach. I can't remember if he was going to Florida or if he was going to the Bahamas. Whatever it was nicer than where he was living. So, you know, our goal is always to make our owners' lives easier, to take work off their back. So the fact that he and his wife were able to go enjoy the winter on the beach, that was really cool for us to hear, and really one of my favorite success stories.
That's such a great success story. Thank you for sharing that with us, James. I'm so happy to hear that an owner was able to step away and have a brief vacation for themselves. Everyone deserves a break and some time off and away from the office and the day-to-day routine. So that's such a great story. My third question, in your presentation, you mentioned Sparefoot for outbound calls. Does Easy Storage Solutions technology integrate with any other existing self-storage platforms out there?
Yeah, good question. So Easy Storage Solutions does integrate with other self-storage platforms. So I mentioned Sparefoot earlier. Also DaVinci Locks, if you're familiar with them. We also integrate with a handful of payment processors and gate access control systems, to name a few. So if that gives you an idea, you know, if anyone has any specific questions about, you know, do we integrate with a specific platform, definitely reach out. I can let you know. But yeah, hopefully that gives you an idea.
Thank you for that answer. That's awesome. Yeah, we're definitely connected in with the team over at Storable. And we don't currently work with DaVinci Locks, but that may be something we could look into to offer for our members. My next question, how many self-storage locations does Easy, Storage Solutions service with the call answering service today?
So we manage, we actually just passed the 500 facility mark. So that was a pretty big day for us, pretty exciting. So yeah, right now we're managing just over 500 locations.
Wow, over 500 locations is a huge mark, and I agree. I mean, that's such a big day and a big celebratory item for you guys, so congratulations on that. My last question for you is a pretty good one, I would hope, for our members out there listening. What is the process like to get started with the call answering service and easy storage solutions?
Yeah, the process to get started with us is really simple for the owners. We just have a short questionnaire for you to fill out. I believe it's just 15 questions, just questions about your facility. So as soon as we have those answers, we can work on and complete the setup on our side. We'll do the rest of the work, get everything up and going. And depending on your facility size, we can normally get you up and going in just a day or two. So it's really a pretty easy process to get up and going.
Thank you, James. I love that. Quick turnaround is always good, especially in the day that we live in. Everything is pretty instantaneous and at your fingertips. Well, that concludes all of the questions I had for you today. Again, thank you for your time, James, and thank you everyone out there for joining today's webinar. If you'd like more information about this webinar or upcoming events, please visit www.thesboa.com. Thanks, everyone, and have a great day.